my name is Dr. Ahmed Haneda, and I am the founder of Smartly. So if you're new to Smartly is an interactive revision platform for the FRCPath pathology exams. So that is the FRCPath Part 1 of histopathology, Part 1 of Clinical Biochemistry, and Part 2 of histopathology as well. We also cover the ST1 interviews with mock interviews and an interactive textbook that allows you to prepare for questions that may come up in the interview. I wanted to make a little video today just talking through what Smartly is, how it was built, who's produced the content, and how we continue to change the website. In terms of Smartly, how it came to be, it was actually during my time preparing for the FRCPath histopathology exams, and I was often just told, read this textbook or read that textbook, and a lot of them were either outdated, it was very difficult to read them, it was a little bit boring, and I actually really struggled. And so I started speaking to senior trainees, speaking to consultants, and had this idea of developing a unique platform that was just very interactive and allowed for an active form of learning. The hope was that we would have something that allowed you to learn general principles of the specialty, but really something that gave you that confidence to feel like I'm ready to walk into the exam and support you on that journey. Now, with histopathology, we've got over 3,000 questions. There's no other platform that has that many questions. But it's not just about numbers, because what's really important is to have quality. The way our content has been developed is over a number of years working with a range of different people. We've had consultants down from the areas of like Kent, Surrey and Sussex in the south, also from hospitals in London like Northwick Park and Imperial College Trust, who've all contributed to the questions. A lot of the questions are derived directly from real cases. And so, we have like a group where, cases might be emailed over or shared and said, look, this is a really interesting case. This will be something that candidates can learn this principle from. And we try to derive meaningful lessons that way for candidates, rather than just focusing on quantity, because I know when we say, look, there's over 3,000 questions, it can sound like it's just all about quantity, but we know that it's so important to actually have those key points that you learn from. And even today, when content's being developed, a lot of it is just purely not just theoretical, but based on real clinical content. So we'll try to derive questions and cases from real life cases, real life contexts, and give those learning points across through the platform. And in that way, it's sort of like Smartly has become a sort of living entity in some senses. And what I mean by that is that when it grows organically through real use case material. So another way that we develop the content is through user feedback. So every time someone submits feedback on the website, there's like a feedback report button built into the question bank. That is passed on to a real histopathologist, whether it's consultant or senior registrar, to kind of review that material. And then often we'll send, users will know, quite long, extended feedback back to that individual. So it'd be like a personalized email, and we update the content in response to those feedbacks where we feel it's necessary. Whether it's something that's not fully cleared up, or maybe if we sense misunderstanding that the candidate has expressed, we might feel that maybe we need to generate more material covering that specific learning point. A big area that with histopathology what we've wanted to focus on has been molecular pathology, and that's sort of my area of expertise, in that I had done a master's in molecular biology in the past, and it's often an area where a lot of trainees tell me that's our weak point. And so we've really worked hard to derive key materials for that specific areas of learning. Now, how this is manifested is, yes, in the Part 1 content, but also in the OSPE material for the FRCPath Part 2 material. We focused very heavily on developing the molecular pathology section. It will continue to grow. We are working very hard in the background on developing further content and developing further features from a software side as well. The bit that's been really well received is the Part 2 molecular OSPE content, and I think that's because a lot of people feel that it's just not covered as rigorously or as directly elsewhere. And whilst we always see areas for improvement and areas for growth potentially, That is, I think, quite a unique aspect of the Part 2 material that we have at the moment. In terms of the clinical biochemistry aspect of the website, that's quite new, and it's involved the addition of a couple of new members to the team as well, to help derive and produce that content, just so that it matches the exam and really focuses on the key biochemistry principles that you need to know for the exam. The reason we chose biochemistry, even though it's a very small specialty, is because we received feedback that it's just a very underserved specialty, even though it is incredibly small. And I think always with Smartly, it's about trying to have an impact, which is why we're so receptive to feedback. We want to be doing something meaningful, something useful, so that people feel reassured in terms of quality. Because I think sometimes when you see a website, you often don't know, like, okay, what's behind the website, who produces this material, etc. And whilst I think in building the website, we've always kept quite, kind of like low profile, and it's not really about the team as such, it's more about the user and their learning experience. All the material is written by human beings, and it does go through quite a rigorous process of like reading through things, checking content, matching against real cases, has like a proper clinical governance process, etc. What should reassure candidates is actually we're in the process of submitting some materials to the Royal College of Pathology for approval in use of CPD modules. So that means that material will be reviewed by the Royal College of Pathology, and clinical biochemists, biomedical scientists, consultant histopathologists may be able to use some of the material for getting CPD points. So I hope that sort of process is reassuring for candidates who are looking for the most reliable, most trustworthy resource that they can find. And I just wanted to make a comment on AI at this point, because it is concerning to me that so much content can be so easily produced. We have like a very clear policy in terms of AI that it should not be used to generate content. Proof checking is one thing, but to actually generate cases is an absolute no for us. The reason we try to stay clear of that is because I think, one, there are concerns about what sounds plausibly true but is in fact inaccurate, which is often what can happen with AI, where we are not careful. Something can sound very plausibly true, but on a deeper level there may be factual inaccuracies. It's interesting the way the industry has gone, in the sense that companies like Anthropic have started watermarking AI content, and one of the reasons they do that is because they don't want model collapse. They don't want the AI generated content to go back into feed back into their data systems, because it can lead to lower quality responses. So that kind of tells you where things can go. Like, repeated use of AI generally lowers the fidelity of truth in the information, and so we really do try to use expertise. We really do try to use very solid reference points, so FRCPath datasets, core textbooks, medical evidence-based journals. So that's always been our focus, and I think for the foreseeable future will continue to be our focus as well. Of course, I'm not trying to put out an anti-AI message at all. It's just, some of our sort of social media side, some people might post AI type stuff. What I'm talking about specifically is the education-based materials. That's the core focus of my message there. Now, I just wanted to make just a few statements just about new features coming to the website. So we have a new feature rolling out today, which is a feedback feature, which allows you to flag questions, and you can return to all of your flagged questions. So if you find something particularly difficult, you can flag that question and just come back to it at a later point in time. The other features that we're rolling out is a greater ability to track your progress over time. So we're giving more graphs for you just to kind of see how you're doing, how you've performed compared to others, just so you know in yourself where roughly you are. For the Part 2 project, we are increasing your ability to track your progress as well, just so that you can kind of keep track of yourself over an extended period of time. Finally, for the clinical biochemistry, we're also adding more content so that there are more questions that are available to users to continue to practice. We're already in contact with a number of our users very regularly via either WhatsApp or email, etc. So for our current users, if you're finding anything in the website that you'd like us to do differently, etc. As always, our doors are open for feedback. And then in terms of people that might be considering using Smartly, from my perspective, it has become the best platform to use for histopathology training and preparation for the FRCPath exams. I hope that you might consider using it and just genuinely find it an excellent platform from which you can learn and just feel more confident for the exams as a whole. We really hope you enjoy using it. And as I said, look, we're a community, we're a small knit team, we're always in regular contact with each other. So if there's anything that we can do differently, just give us a shout, contact us, we will work on it, and we'll try to get done what you need, just to maximize your learning. Like, that's essentially the mission of Smartly. I mentioned that we want to be doing high value work. That is the mission of Smartly, just to make sure that you guys are getting a platform where you can learn as much as possible and genuinely feel more confident for the coming exams. We hope to see some of you as new users going forward. Take care now.